If you're new to following American politics and the media that covers it, I can save you a little bit of time. If something bad happens, it's progressives' fault. It might not be clear immediately how it's their fault, but we'll find a way. And so when Kyrsten Sinema decides that she's no longer gonna be a Democrat, she's gonna become an independent, and that's surprising to some people, they will fall to blaming progressives for it. And here we have an example. This is a writer at Politico magazine, Bill Scheer, who reacted to this news by saying, "We may have ourselves a Joe Lieberman situation," which at least on its face, we sort of do, "in which progressives chase a moderate out of the party, but not out of the Senate. So the moderate, untethered to any progressive base, becomes way more obnoxious." At least in the Lieberman situation, progressives had a plausible rationale for a purge strategy. Lieberman was genuinely terrible in the Iraq War, Connecticut. CT is very blue, so trying to take him out came with little risk of handing the seat to the GOP. The intra-party tensions between Sinema and progressives over the past 2 years were way more stupid. Sinema didn't hold any position as noxious as supporting the Iraq War. She was difficult about, I think that's supposed to be corporate taxes, but with enough flexibility to make compromise possible. Mainly, the ire was driven by Sinema's support of the filibuster, and that was treated as betrayal because so many Democrats treated a party line voting rights bill to be of existential urgency. So look, there's a lot more that we could get into, but there's the taking something like safeguarding people's ability to vote in the face of an all-out assault by Republicans in multiple different states with a Supreme Court that's assisting them, treating that as some sort of like weird thing to be angry about is certainly a look. It's displaying what he thinks about those topics. Her support for the filibuster, which she never made a plausible case for why it needed to be there, knowing that the ability of the party to deliver on many specific promises it had made and been advantaged in elections based on, is sort of a big deal. Her flaunting, her ostentatious thumbs down when it comes to something as simple as raising the minimum wage is clearly designed to spit in the eye of every, not just every progressive in the country, but every Democrat at the very least in the country. Now, if that bothers you, you're being irrational according to this writer. And you, in being so extreme, have driven a moderate out of the party. Because again, like so much in media, don't talk about the positions she actually takes. Don't talk about the people she's financially beholden to. Just use a term like moderate and centrist that you never have to divine, but people know that it's supposed to be a good thing. They're the reasonable people. And so that's the approach that he's taken. It's our fault.
So Bill Scheer is a version of Kyrsten Sinema in media. And so I know that because I've known him a long time. He used to be part of the original liberal blogosphere. So he came in as a progressive. And so he used to be an ally and he used to come on TYT all the time. But a brother's got to earn a living in Washington. And this has happened to a lot of people that was originally came in as progressives. There's pollsters like this, there's pundits like this. And so they come in and then eventually they realize there's only one way to get your bread buttered in Washington: kiss corporate ass, okay? So he went from completely left wing to the most right wing theoretically. I don't know what you call him. Does he still consider himself a Democrat? Or is he just like happy to be a corporate robot? Or is he like mainstream media kicks ass? Remember all that critique we did of them when we did those blogs? That was garbage. Oh, I love the way they pay me, okay? Whatever it was, I don't really care. I don't care about his personal psychology. I care that he's lying to you today. So, by the way, he mentioned the Iraq War, like at least Lieberman was against the Iraq War, because he was a progressive back then who was furious at Lieberman for voting the wrong way in the Iraq War. So he wants to say like, oh yeah, well of course I've been consistent on this. Iraq War important, okay? Corporate taxes, not at all important. Don't look, don't look, don't look while we protect corporations and let them take trillions of dollars home. Trillions. Look, under Trump, the corporate tax rate was cut. Thousands of different taxes were cut. But one of them, the biggest one, was corporate tax rate was cut from 35% to 21%. That blew a giant $2 trillion hole in our deficit and our debt. And that's the thing that the Republicans pretend to care about. By the way, mainstream media pretends to care about. Oh, the deficit, the debt. Oh, let's cut Social Security. Let's cut Medicare. Let's cut Medicaid. Cut anything that helps the American people. Goddamn paid family leave and childcare. Cut. How are you gonna pay for that, right? And then you go, all right, well we could pay it by, I don't know, raising the taxes on corporations to half of what we gave away under Trump, for example, right? And then Bill Scher goes, that's no big deal, that's no big deal. The fact that Kyrsten Sinema protected hedge funds, private equity, Wall Street, all of her donors, don't look there. My job in corporate media now is to make sure that I lie to you, I trick you. Every single day is part of my job, and pretend that Kyrsten Sinema is an honest actor, and oh golly gee, if progressives hadn't gotten in the way, she would have stayed a Democrat. And to what end, Bill? To what end? She would have voted the same exact way that is right-wing, pro-corporate. But Bill Scher now loves that she votes that way. So he does this fluffery, not only on her behalf, but the extra part of it is what John pointed out in the beginning. Somehow, Kyrsten Sinema betraying the Democratic Party by going more right-wing is not her fault. It's not the fault of the right-wing, it's the fault of progressives. Well, Bill, if you were trying to do a 100% sellout, congrats, you did it. It's just perfectly played. You couldn't have sold out any more than you already did.
Yeah, I mean, it's utter gaslighting too. Sorry, Oxford Dictionary word of the year, gaslighting. But here we have it. Like, again, everyone knows that Kyrsten Sinema has been throwing the Democratic Party under the bus the whole time. She's the one who's been like chasing her own self out of it. She's been the one, who's been leading that charge. And also, it's a weird comparison to Joe Lieberman. Remember when we made Joe Lieberman the vice presidential nominee? Yeah, we chased him out of the party. No, he got that nominee because he was a supposed moderate, right? I don't know why we do this with vice presidential candidates, but time and time again. And something that we need to mention with independents is who's the most famous independent in the country, if not the world? Bernie Sanders, right? What do we always hear every time Bernie Sanders does something that's a little bit too much for the people? A little bit not enough, for the mainstream and for the status quo. We hear the line, "Well, Bernie's not a Democrat." And that's supposed to really sting, right? That's such a, well, Bernie's not even a Democrat. Look at your Democrats. Look at what your Democrats are doing. They've done less for people than this independent. And yeah, so what if he's put up bills that don't get through? He's put them up. He's had the audacity, the courage. He's spoken out about it. I think that's far more valiant than a corporate Democrat. But hey, who am I? I don't know.
Look, I'm gonna say one last thing about this. Who cares what you call yourself, right?
Yes.
So and the answer is mainstream media, corporate media like Bill Scher. Democrat or not Democrat? And they're 100% inconsistent about it. When Bernie Sanders declares himself an independent, they're like, hey, he can't, don't ever vote for him. In a primary, how dare he? He's a betrayer of Democrats. When Sinema does it, oh, bravo, what a wonderful moderate independent, okay? It's absurd. It's so obvious that all these media guys are lying to you. It's the most obvious thing in the world. So what should you actually care about? Call me radical, and by the way, every reporter in DC will, the policies. So are they more left-wing policies, Democratic policies, or are they more right-wing and Republican policies? So who's better on that, Bernie Sanders, the independent, or Kyrsten Sinema, the independent? Well, that's a no-brainer. Bernie Sanders is more left-wing and more in the Democratic position, and he agreed with the Democratic agenda, Biden's agenda, 100%. Sinema did not. She went to the right of Biden and disagreed with 85% of his agenda. But the people who are paid to lie to you, like Bill Scher, will pretend that Bernie is the worst Democrat and Kyrsten Sinema is the better Democrat. You see how this game is played now? And the liars in Washington, both the politicians and the media, that work together to gaslight the entire country and to deceive you so that you acquiesce to corporate rule. Thanks for watching the Young Turks, really appreciate it. Another way to show support is through YouTube memberships. You'll get to interact with us more. There's live chat emojis, badges. You've got emojis of me, Anna, John, JR, so those are super fun. But you also get playback of our exclusive member-only shows and specials right after they air. So all of that, all you gotta do is click that join button right underneath the video. Thank you.